Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
Thank you all. And let's give another round of applause to Sasha Banks, huh? We are here. We are at Caroline's on Broadway in New York City. It's SummerSlam week, and we're celebrating everything. Of course, SummerSlam is going to be on the WWE Network on Sunday. You can get a 30-day trial. You can get it on the house. Unless you're already a subscriber, in which case you're paying for it anyway. So you're going to get it. It's going to be great. It's going to be a really, really good time. Of course, I appreciate all you guys being out here for the third annual SummerSam. Thank you. We just heard from Sasha Banks, so now I'd like to go ahead and introduce my next guest to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him as the King Slayer, Seth Rollins, everybody. Seth Rollins, everybody. Seth Rollins is here. Yeah, there you go. You're good. You're ready to rock now. Right. They love you, Seth.
I feel like that was the old version of my music, right?
Well, it didn't. Yeah,
it didn't have the burn it down.
Yeah. When was the first time you heard the burn it down part being added?
When did I use it first?
Do you hear it like right before you go out, or do you hear it while you're out there?
No. I heard it for the first time like before the show, like whatever, 3 weeks ago, whenever.
Yeah.
The first time it debuted. Yeah.
And were you like, yeah, that's cool?
No.
Or were you like, I don't understand?
It was like, no, I didn't understand it. It was a weird, it was a weird thing where all of a sudden I got to Raw that day and they're like, what? Hey, so we got to do something with your music. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's the same music I've used for the last 3 years. Like, what's the problem? All of a sudden,
people kind of know it. They hear that, and they start cheering.
Well, then they were like, well, Vince doesn't like that pause, and I'm like. It's the same. He's been hearing the same music for 3 years. What is he? What are we talking about? And so they played like 5 different little things, and like 3 of them were like sound bites. It was just like and then one of them actually said King Slayer, but it was like very like seductive, almost like King Slayer. And so the burn it down was like the best option available, and so yeah, whatever, do it. But it actually kind of worked out well. And then like last week they put like the fire in my entrance too. So I was like,
and the
whatever.
T-shirt says "Burn It Down" now.
Exactly.
Right?
So it all went together.
Is this all based on like I feel like the character is based on the 2K commercial a little bit.
Well, the Burn It Down was, yeah.
Right.
Everyone liked the commercial so much. The 2K people did a really good job of putting it together. They were like, we got to capitalize on this. Let's get a new shirt out. And I'm like, hey, by all means. Get me a new shirt. Let's do it. Let's sell it. So, yeah, they came out with the shirt pretty quick, and it all came together pretty well.
So you grew up a video game fan, right?
I did, yeah. I think we all did, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Everyone played video games growing up at some
absolutely.
point.
So, like, was it a goal to be on the cover of one of the WWE video games, or was it not even something that you
No, that was
considered?
one of those, like, being in the ring with The Undertaker that I just never thought was a realistic possibility.
Right.
Yeah, I never even, you're like, ooh, video games, cool. Hopefully I'm in one day or something like that. But to be on the cover, I was like, that was like above and beyond type situation.
Did they just come to you and say, hey, we're thinking you're the dude?
Yeah, they called me and they were like, hey, so, you've been bitching and moaning for the last few years that they've been putting all these old brothers on the video game. And so this year they listened to you and they're going to put you on there. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
About time.
Yeah.
And I was obviously stoked as a lifelong video game fan and someone who mostly just for the generation because, you had Brock Lesnar on there. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin on there.
Yeah.
John Cena, he's around enough. But then The Rock, and I'm like, come on, man. There hadn't been anybody since Punk on the cover of a WWE video game, and that wasn't any of the 2K games.
Right.
So I was like, dude, we're out there busting our ass night in, night out, working hard, and you put, no offense to Stone Cold, but come on, man, put one of our guys or put 6 of our guys on the cover. I don't care. So I just thought that was cool.
That's the thought, right? That like, how do you make the next Stone Cold if you're still putting Stone Cold on the video games?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you on that, man.
Is that something that you wish was reflected more in what you're doing in terms of your character? Like, do you wish that on Raw you were the guy who was like super fighting for the young guys and get the old guys out of here? Or is it not necessary?
No, I mean, if it fits and it works and it feels like something that is natural and organic in the storytelling process, then I'm all for that. But I don't feel like we need to force it.
Right.
Like oh, let's push these Hall of Famers out of here. It's our time now. Like there's a place for everybody. I think it just if it fits, it fits. If it works, then let's go with it. If not, then we'll do what we're doing.
So I think we're living in a time where it's getting rarer and rarer to have a segment that works exactly the way it's supposed to work in terms of crowd reaction. Because the crowd, either they legitimately don't like it, or sometimes they know, even if they like it, they know they're supposed to, so they rebel or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? They're sometimes too smart for, we're sometimes too smart for our own good. But the last 2 weeks on Raw, the entire reunion between you and Dean Ambrose, like, I've marveled watching them, mainly for you guys and also for the audience, because it's like every motion that you make, when you go for the handshake, the crowd is with you going, yeah, and when you pull away from it, the crowd is like, oh, and you just don't see that enough anymore. How good does it feel when something like that, like you must feel that in the ring when it just works?
Yeah, no, that's great, man. It's a good point you brought up about how sometimes you never really know what you're going to get when you have an idea of how something's going to work out or sound when you get out there, and then all of a sudden our fan base is so fickle. I love you guys, but man, make up your minds. Sometimes it just doesn't work. And the last couple weeks, and really this whole thing with Ambrose has gone extremely well, and I think that's just a testament to kind of he and I and the Shield and the bond we sort of created with the audience over the past 5-6 years and stuff like that we've been doing it. So it's just cool to see that everyone's still emotionally invested in those characters, and the fact that we're now on the same side and people are excited to see where we're going moving forward.
When you get a reaction like that, does it make you feel like, yes, like because it's something, right? Because on paper you could see a guy not being the happiest about being like, this is in the world title match last year, I'm in the tag team match this year, but when you watch it play out, like, it's obviously something that hasn't been, it's not a typical tag team title match, right? It's this thing that is in itself, I think, one of the more highly anticipated things that's happening at SummerSlam.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned. I mean, keep me away from that Universal title picture right now. I'll stay where I'm at. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing here. And I think the fact that people are so emotionally invested in myself and Ambrose is really cool. And I think they're also, correct me if I'm wrong, you can. I think you guys are anticipating a pretty sweet match between us two and Cesaro and Sheamus, right?
Yeah.
So I think overall, I mean, Cesaro and Sheamus have been built up like these two hosses, which they are, and Ambrose and I are such a well-liked team that I think it's just going to be and we've had the good fortune of we've never had this match. This is going to be the first time ever this match has ever taken place. So I think we've got that going for us as well. Should be a pretty good time. I'm really looking forward to the match itself on Sunday.
Do you suppose it'll be? Is it one of those moments, or are those moments kind of gone where you look across the ring at Cesaro and be like, we both know that, like, you guys came from the same place, right? And now you're here and you've both kind of grown at the same sort of pace and stuff. Like, it's kind of amazing, no?
Yeah, well, I mean, now that you mention it, I might think about it.
But
yeah, at the time, I mean, honestly, I've spent so much time with him on the road over the past 5 years. Like you said, those moments have kind of come and gone.
Right.
But still, it'll be a cool moment to share the ring with him and tear it up and hopefully have a great match and stuff.
After
like
5
that.
years, you look at Cesaro like, can you believe we're both here? And Cesaro's like, yeah, we've been here. Yes.
No, instead of looking at each other and say like, man, can you believe we're both here? We look at each other and say, man, can you believe we're still here?
We're still doing it.
Still here. Goodness.
So obviously, when you and Ambrose are back together, the immediate question that people jump to is Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Oh, we're in Bizarro world here at Caroline's. Do you think that? Do you think it would help what you guys are doing to at some point bring Roman back and redo the whole thing? Do you think it would help Roman with the spot that he's in?
I mean,
I'll ask. I guess I'll ask Rollins.
no, that's interesting. I'd be curious to know, really. I mean, do you guys think Roman coming back into the fold would be cool or no?
All right.
All right.
That's good to hear.
That's a good sign, yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's obviously doing just fine for himself.
He's doing pretty well.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
Whether you love him or hate him, he's doing all right. He's 3 straight WrestleManias in the main event now.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, say what you will about it, but that's an impressive feat. There are not too many men in the history of our industry who've been able to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? I think right now, we're where we're at, and we're in a good spot with me and Dean. And I think if we do tell that story, we've got a long way to get there. And if it happens, I'd welcome it. You know what I'm saying? I'd welcome the possibility. But I'm really happy with the Ambrose situation right now, and I don't want to force anything.
Is getting the Triple H match at WrestleMania, is that a high pressure scenario just because Triple H is the boss, because Triple H doesn't wrestle so much, because Triple H kind of, like when we see Triple H's wrestling, we expect a certain quality of match? Or is it, well, if I get to be in there with Triple H, I'm in good hands? It's not.
No, I think there's more pressure involved.
Yeah.
But I liked it. Like, I like the pressure. I feel like I perform better in high-pressure situations. Some people kind of, they get knocked off their feet, but I feel like I rise to the occasion. So I was looking forward to it. I feel like I missed it the year before, and I was glad we were able to come back to it a year later. And obviously, it was my first match back after tearing my MCL again, so that was also a lot of extra pressure, just knowing if I could go out there and perform. And then we're on a stacked WrestleMania card that's literally like a 6-hour show.
Yeah.
So getting any sort of crowd response in that situation, there were a lot of high pressure factors going in, but definitely being in there with one of the greatest of all time, you want to kind of rise to that level and not bring the match down.
So are you that strategic in your planning? Like, do you look at going, okay, this is where we're at on the card. This is how long these people are going to have been sitting in the stadium. Like, I need to figure out what exactly I need to do to make sure I get the audience to a place where.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's every night. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not just WrestleMania. That's every night. I think that's part of, the artistry of pro wrestling, knowing your audience, right? Knowing where you're at on the card, what they sat through, what's before, what's after, what started the show, what's ending the show. I think that's the part. Those are huge parts in putting together a successful match. I think if you ignore that stuff, you're only doing yourself, the match, and the audience a disservice. So, yeah, you've got to take all that into account. If you don't, you're messing up.
How competitive was it when you and Roman and Dean showed up? Because immediately, the Shield was immediately popular, right? Mm-hmm. But it was also this thing of people picking out who's the star in the group, who's their favorite in the group. It's not that often that you get a faction where everybody becomes stars, which is what happened with the Shield. Yeah. But is it this thing where as much as you're trying to make sure the Shield works, you're also trying to make sure that you stand out above these other two guys that are awesome?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it was a healthy competition, though. Like, I think it was one of those things where it helped us push each other because we all wanted to be single stars. We never were like, hey, let's do this thing together and be the Shield. That was kind of thrust upon us. Myself, Ambrose, and Roman all separately down NXT, FCW, whatever. We were all on our own, doing our own thing, wanted to be world champion, that sort of stuff. And we had a bit of a camaraderie as far as, like, our generation coming to the forefront and kind of pushing some of these other guys out of the way. But, like, once we got put together in the Shield, that was, like, I mean, honestly, like a real brother-type bond as far as, like, travel together, work out together, have the same mindset. Like, we were going to use that sort of triad of force to be a bigger wedge and really shove everybody else out of the way.
Right.
And then as it sort of, we got towards the end of it, it was like, all right, well, I want to position myself to be seen this way or seen that way amongst the three of us. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't think it was ever like, there was never any jealousy. There was never any envy. It was a positive sort of healthy environment, healthy competition to see who could kind of one-up each other.
Where you guys are actually bringing out the best in each other.
Yeah, it's a good thing, like iron sharpens iron type thing.
Yeah, totally. And when you find out you're going to be the bad guy in the group, are you like, yes, this is something I can sink my teeth into, or are you like,
Well, it was thrust upon us very quickly. I don't know if that story's been told enough, but yeah, we were not very prepared for the all right, break up, we're going this way, going that way, sort of thing. So, like, Like
You didn't want to.
Well, no, we weren't ready for it. We
Right.
thought we had this big babyface run in us, which
Sure.
we had just started. Like we had just kind of done it. We had 2 months with Evolution, having a couple of 6-mans, and we were like, all right, here we go. This is the idea we have to push ourselves in that direction. And they were like, no. No, we need three single stars, and we need them right now. And I was like, well, if it's going to be anybody, no better time than when we were on top of the world. So
Yeah.
it worked really well. And I was hesitant at first because I didn't really see it that way with myself as the bad guy of the group. But once it kind of was laid out and the plan sort of, the ball started rolling in my head, I was like, okay, this is definitely something I can slide into. And it worked out quite well.
So after the injury that kept you out, the first leg injury where you were out for 8 months or whatever it was, how long was it?
Come on, it was not 8 months.
How long was it?
Come on, it was like 5.5. 6
Okay,
months.
5.5. Well, obviously I missed you. It just seemed like it was longer than it was.
Fair enough.
Did you find it difficult to maintain being a bad guy after that, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, it was a little confusing at first. I guess when it was happening, I was like, it only made sense, I thought, for me to come back as a babyface. I
Right.
thought personally, I thought all the makings of of a hot babyface comeback were right there. You talk about with Triple H with the quad tear and the
Sure.
return at Madison Square Garden. I think everyone had visions of that in their head.
Yeah.
And then that just never came to fruition. It just never happened. And so it was a little bit of a letdown, and then I had to kind of slide back into a role that I don't think, if I remember correctly, most of the fans were not really ready for me to be a bad guy at that point.
I was at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, they were ready
when
to
you
ready to cheer.
returned. Yeah, when you pedigreed Roman
Yeah.
as the surprise return, and it was like, even though you just hit the biggest good guy in the company, we were still all like, yeah, the good guy's back.
Yeah,
It didn't register with anybody.
Yeah, it was a little strange at first. Looking back on it now, in retrospect, I think it was the story arc, the character arc that I've kind of gone through. Even though it's been slow, has been very good and well told and interesting. And I think it's gonna, on the back end, I think when we look back on all of it, it'll be better this way. But
Yeah.
it was still strange for sure.
Yeah, I guess that's a thing that we fans sometimes forget because we live in this sort of moment-to-moment world with short attention spans. That if you do look back, the Seth Rollins story does make more sense with you coming back as a bad guy because you had to go through this thing that kind of turned you into good guy, and then had to convince the fans that you were a good guy, and have to convince Dean. If you just come back as a good guy.
Yeah, and I mean the promo that I was able to cut the night after the return was a little bit, I mean there was some truth to that because I had spent the better part of a couple years being the most reviled, character in the company, but I was still one of the hardest working, if not the hardest working dude in the company, and it took me getting my knee knocked out for people to finally be like, oh, wait, we actually kind of like this guy. And I'm like, you could have just liked me the whole time, jerks. So part of that was legitimate, hey.
Yeah, I don't want your cheers now.
Yeah, no, I don't want them now.
Yeah.
Screw you guys. So part of that kind of was a little bit of truth, but it was nice. It was good to get that off my chest, and then, we were able to move forward after that.
Did you watch the documentary they did, the 24 thing that they did for the network on your injury?
On me, yeah,
Yeah.
I watched it.
Because that, I felt like, that came out right after your return. And, I watched that, and I was like, that dude's my favorite wrestler now. And it was I think that did, while, again, I mean, in hindsight, now you can just watch it and be like, it's this great, it's one of the better 24s, I think, that they've done. But you can watch it now, and it's this great story. But I think that added to, you being a bad guy, that all the fans were directed to this documentary. And it's like, we all felt for you, and we all watched your journey and saw your passion. And we were like, I can get behind that. And you were like, don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little confusing. And it's sort of like, it's weird where we blur the line between reality and fantasy. So, it's a very strange kind of time we're living in where all of us as wrestling fans are so educated now that it's like you're telling us one thing, but then you're telling us another thing, and what's real and what's not, and I don't know what to believe, and my heart hurts. So it's like,
Us wrestling fans, we get very confused with emotions.
All
we
of
don't
us,
do
man.
well.
I understand. Sometimes we don't even know what story we're telling half the time. So it's it is what it is, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and it's out there, and like you said, I thought they did a really good job of putting that story together and telling it honestly from my perspective. So I was happy with it.
What do you feel like is the biggest transition you've made? I don't know if it's mentally, I don't know if it's as a person, to put you in the place that you're in, because I think at this point in your career, you're solidified as one of, when a person asks me, who are the top wrestlers now, if they don't watch, who are the top guys now? Inevitably, your name comes up, and I think anybody would put your name on that list. But you have to, yeah, you cheer for that, yeah. But you have to go from this guy who's in a tag team, a popular tag team in Ring of Honor, right? Who then has to convince people he can be the Ring of Honor champion as a singles guy, who then has to convince WWE he's worth developmental, who then has to convince the blah, 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 the Shield, and then, like, it's a long road to get to the spot that you're in, and I don't think, you know, when people get to those spots, they necessarily know exactly what it is until they get there. But you've done really well in the role. So that's the question is, like, how have you, as a person, or what's been the most surprising thing that's allowed you to excel in that position?
Well, I think it's just avoiding complacency. I think sometimes when you get to, you know, you mentioned all those kind of check marks that you set for yourself in a career, and then once you get to the top, and I'm not to the top, you know, for me, I still haven't main evented a WrestleMania. So
Right.
for me, it's always about setting the next goal and moving forward, and always kind of having a chip on your shoulder. So, like, if I see someone like Roman main event 3 WrestleManias in a row, I'm like, okay, well, that's what I want to do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I want to have a Hall of Fame career. I want to have matches at WrestleMania like Shawn Michaels. I want to win, you know, oh, now we've got a Universal title. Well, I haven't won that yet, you know.
Right.
Now we've got these Raw Tag Team titles. Well, I haven't won those yet. So I think it's just about, for me, mentally not becoming complacent no matter what level you're at. Always trying to push yourself to the next thing. And if there's not a next thing that's apparent to you, you got to make one up. You got to find one.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just kind of idling, and that's no good for anybody, because then you're kind of creatively stifled. And I think as an audience, you guys can sort of feel that. And that was sort of my problem with what the WWE was going through, like, before the Shield came up. There were so many guys who were at the top who were just kind of idling, and there was no passion in the work. And there was a couple of guys, I feel like Punk and Bryan were two of them that were really starting to push the envelope.
Yeah.
But there weren't, but beyond that, there weren't guys who had that honest passion and fire for what we do, and to constantly push the envelope and get better. And so, like, that's always been my mantra, is to just find something, find a goal, and, you know, push for that as hard as you can.
So the mentality is, okay, if I've won every title there is, if I've main evented every show that there is, now the goal is to just be in the conversation as the guy who has the best matches of all time.
Yeah, and to, you know, Ric Flair still has a legacy to catch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Right. So you don't
you
look
know.
at the, and which is great, because my gut tells me, right, because when you're a fan of something, it's kind of removed. You know what I mean? It's over here, like you're just an admirer of it. And it sometimes feels to me like there are so many guys in WWE now that grew up fans the same time that I did. We're all the same age.
Yep.
That it's almost like they don't look at the Ric Flair thing as even attainable, because that's the thing they watched when they were a kid, not, okay, yeah, I watched that when I was a kid, but I'm in this thing now,
Yeah,
and I'm here to take it from.
It's a different mindset. And it's difficult because it seems, even for me, light years away. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But it's, like I said, you've got to have it. Even if I never reach it, even if I can't climb Mount Everest, I'm going to die trying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. For me, whether it's Triple H, you know, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, even someone like John Cena, who's still around, and he's still the measuring stick as far as, like, you know, selling out an arena.
Absolutely.
Or a Brock Lesnar, you know, someone who's, you know, the guy that we depend on for things that I wish they depended on me for.
Right.
That's where I want to be. I want to be in those spots. I don't want to be in my spot, even though my spot's great.
Right.
I can't sit there and be like, yeah, this is good enough.
How do you keep yourself from overly frustrated by it, right? Because I think that there are people with that mentality. Punk might be one of them, you know, that have that feeling, and they're like, I know I can do it now. I know I can do it now. And then when you can't do it now, just because it's not your spot, like you have to wait until there's the time for you to take advantage of an opportunity, they end up, you know, not. All right, well, I don't want to do it anymore. It's too frustrating. I can't just keep.
You know what? I don't have a good answer to that, because I think everybody's mind works differently, and you have a breaking point. You know,
Right.
Everyone's got a breaking point where it's the frustration builds, and then it just kind of explodes. And that's not just for my job. That's kind of for anybody's job out there, right? If you got a boss, if you got something you don't like or a position you don't like, you can only eat so much crap. You know what I'm saying?
And every dream job, once you get it, if you stay in it, at some point becomes a job.
Yeah, it's still work, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of, like, I think the frustration is a good thing. It's sort of what, like, keeps you thinking that the grass is always greener on the other side of things. Like, there's always going to be something better. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, but I think that frustration is important. It's just how you manage it. I think if you let it stress you out too much, it can really affect you, personally, emotionally. It can age you, all this sort of stuff. But I think if you use it as fuel to the fire, then you're only going to be able to make the best out of it.
Right.
And I think you just got to keep pushing in that direction however you can.
And then you use that fire to burn it down.
Right? There we go.
Right?
That's nice.
That's what it's all about at the end of the
day. Full circle there.
Is there an immediate something that you're after, or is it just this sort of day-to-day doing better?
Immediately after the Raw Tag Team Championships.
That's it.
The Sunday at SummerSlam. Yeah, I mean, I think just creating interesting stories for people to attach themselves to. There was a period after WrestleMania where I was just kind of drifting because I wasn't, I was starting this thing with Samoa Joe, and then Braun got hurt, and we had to go to the 5-way, and then I was starting this thing with Bray Wyatt, and then plans got shuffled for SummerSlam, so I wasn't really able to sink my teeth into anything creatively, and so for me, that's when I do my best work, when I feel super invested in something emotionally, and I can really show that on television, and the stuff with Dean over the last month has really been that creative outlet for me, and I think it's going to make, for me, the live events a lot more fun, and then, just making exciting and interesting television moving forward.
Well, that's a question that I don't know how much you want to pull the curtain back, but how long has this been the idea for you at SummerSlam? Because I mean, they technically just made the match on Monday, but it was fairly obvious that this is what we were going towards. Is this something that, like, you say SummerSlam plans get shuffled? Is it a month ago? They're like, well, this is where we're going. Is it 2 weeks ago when they kind of start putting it into high gear?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you never know till you know.
Right.
Until you go out there on TV and it's done, or you see the match made. But I believe what the plan was for me and Bray Wyatt to go a few pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever happened. Something changed. They shuffled the deck, and they ended up having to reposition, which actually worked out much better for me, in my personal opinion. I think it's been maybe like a month or so that I've kind of known we were heading in this direction.
Yeah.
So had a small amount of preparation time, but enough to, like, ooh, I'm excited about this. Here we go. I can help out.
Yeah, and as we talked about, obviously I think it's the right direction.
It's working.
For you. It really is
seems
working.
to be working.
And it was fun because I was at the Madison Square Garden show where AJ won the United States Championship, and there was this moment where, like, everybody was chanting "Shield, Shield," and you got on the mic and you were like, "Look, Dean's not here right now, but we hear you."
Gone.
Yeah,
that's true. I've forgotten about that. Good point.
Yeah, so it's something that's been in the air for some time.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, dude, honestly, the most asked question I get all the time, when is the Shield getting back together? So it's been in the air since it stopped.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's not been a day or a Q&A or anything that I've had where somebody hasn't brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the best part about getting back together with Ambrose. Is like they won't ask me anymore when we're getting back together.
That's true.
Here you go. We're here. Well, we should take a break because I want to give the audience a chance to ask you some questions.
Right on.
They're all here to see you. So it is the 3rd annual SummerSlam. We're at Caroline's on Broadway here in New York City. We're going to take a quick break. Be right back with Seth Rollins and your questions. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's our 3rd annual SummerSlam Spectacular. We're at Caroline's on Broadway here on Sirius XM and elsewhere. SummerSlam, of course, is going to be on the WWE Network this Sunday. Special start time, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, that's a long show, baby.
Oh,
It's a long show.
Yeah, I think the kickoff starts at 5.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
If anybody's got tickets out there, man, you guys are crazy folks for sitting and watching wrestling for that long. Good for you. Thank you. We love you and we appreciate it.
Well, here's the thing. We're all going to sit there, right, for the 7 hours of SummerSlam. But before that, we're going to TakeOver, and then after that, we're going to Raw.
I know.
And then SmackDown.
And then SmackDown.
Yeah.
It's 4 days, man.
Yeah.
It's like 20 hours of wrestling in 4 days. Wow.
Well, I've said this In my travels, I've found the thing about about pro wrestling is there's not a ton of middle ground. Either you don't get it and you think it's dumb, or you like bleed pro wrestling. You know what I mean? It's like everything.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I prefer the people that bleed pro wrestling personally. But let's start the Q&A. The amazing and talented and wonderful Kathy Kelly is out in the audience with a microphone. And Kathy, who do we have?
Michelle from Long Island.
Michelle.
Seth, if you could wrestle anybody on the current roster, Raw, SmackDown, or NXT, who would it be and why?
Ooh.
SmackDown or NXT?
SmackDown or NXT? Probably AJ. You know, we've tangoed on the video game realm, and I crushed him pretty handily. But we haven't had a singles match in over a decade, so I think it would be very curious to see how we match up now that we're a little more mature and have wrestled a few more places than we had way back then.
When you see a guy like AJ wrestling at the level that he's wrestling at now, does that like give you this hope that like, or this thought that the best is yet to come? Because to me, and I've been following AJ forever, obviously, like he's the best he's ever been. Now.
Yeah.
You know?
That's nice, you know, because I'm 31 now and he's 38 or something like that, and like he's putting out his best matches now. And I remember looking when I was in my mid-20s watching AJ being like, wow, how can I do that, you know?
Yeah.
So the fact that he's, you know, putting his best work together, honestly, in the last, 2, 3, 4, 5 years probably, including the New Japan stuff.
Definitely.
Dude, it's awesome. So, yeah, if I can stay healthy, knock on wood or granite or whatever that is, I'd love to be able to, you know,
I guess
get to that level at some point.
I didn't get to ask you that. I'll get right back to you guys in a second. But do you, I'm assuming based on this conversation, like in terms of looking into the future, you plan on wrestling for a long, long, long time.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you said either you don't really care for it or you bleed it. Well, I'm most certainly that second time.
That's what I thought. Who do we have over there, Kathy?
Ryan from Long Island. Hey, Seth, I was wondering, what was it like working with Sting, a guy probably you grew up watching? What was it like actually getting in the ring with him, though?
Dude, honestly, even dating back to when he made his debut at Survivor Series, Ziggler and I were in the ring for that, and we just got to lay there. I lay there for like 5 minutes before he just put Ziggler on top of me. And it was one of the biggest, like, loudest reactions I've ever heard. I remember laying there on the mat just getting goosebumps, and I'd already been out there wrestling for like 45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the next year when they were like, hey, you're gonna wrestle Sting, I was like, what? Because that, we started off by talking about the video game cover.
Sure.
That is one of those things where you never in a million years thought A, you would wrestle Sting, B, for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, because he had not even ever had a match in WWE. So I was like, until the Triple H Wrestlemania one. So I was like, it was never even the realm of possibility. So that's one of those that, like, it's just insane. Like stepping into the ring, looking across, there's Sting. Well, I mean, I was laying in the ring because I had just lost to Cena. But I was laying in the ring and just seeing, knowing that you were about to get in there with, that level of Hall of Famer, that level of legend was pretty surreal for me. And he's an awesome guy, just a great human being all around. One of those people where, you think about your heroes and you meet them in real life, and he was everything and more than I expected.
Did you get to keep the Seth Rollins head? The statue? Remember the statue that got crushed around the Sting time?
No, I think the archives have the head somewhere, the head and the body, or portions of
I would try to get the head if I were you. That'd just be a nice keepsake.
What would I do with my own head?
Well, that's your memento. Right, this is...
Yeah, imagine waking up in the middle of the night and seeing that staring at you. Ah!
Yeah.
With my stupid grin on there. That's the stuff nightmares are made of right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Who's next, Kathy?
I've actually seen bits and pieces of the statue in the archives.
Yeah,
so.
it's around.
And is it truly the stuff nightmares are made of?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Oh, come on,
Kathy.
You're supposed to put me over.
I know.
Jeesh.
I'm here with Fola from Queens.
Seth, one of my earliest memories was watching Ultimate Warrior beat Hogan for the world title, and I know you have being the U.S. title and world title holder. How did you feel about that? And did you think it's something that shouldn't happen or should happen more?
Well, since it was me,
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. No, I mean, it was another thing that was, they came to me with the idea of it, and I remember thinking, working with Cena, because he was the U.S. champ at the time, and I was the world heavyweight champ. I remember thinking, oh, what a waste. Like, you got two pretty high, because Cena had built the title up pretty well, like doing the U.S. Open challenges and having great matches on Raw, and I was like, oh, well, why can't we just, you can have two great title matches on a show instead of one. But at the end of the day, it only worked to like inflate the Seth Rollins ego in real life a little bit as well. And so it worked from a character standpoint as far as just making me look like the biggest jerk in the entire world and building a statue with me holding two championships and putting it in the lobby at the headquarters next to Andre and Warrior and all that. So. I'm normally opposed to the idea because I like when the championships are separate. I think it allows for more guys to get airtime, more rivalries to take place, different avenues with the stories and stuff like that. But it was a short-lived double title reign, and I thought that it served its purpose fairly well.
Yeah. Right around the same time, that reminded me of the white outfit that you wore, which I think has gone down. People loved it.
Yeah.
They made a whole bunch of toys about it.
Yeah.
But we all hear about. Do you like the name CrossFit Jesus?
As an atheist, I absolutely love it. I think it's wonderful. Blasphemy is one of my favorite forms of comedy. Keep it coming.
Do you wearing an all white outfit? Weird stuff happens in the ring all the time. Is that a risk?
I mean, I wasn't concerned with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, what am I gonna do? Poop my pants? No, it was just cool. I always wore all black, and I was like, oh, let's just switch it up for SummerSlam and see if it's cool. It was a big match, big moment, and I wanted to have a cool outfit to represent that.
You got a cool outfit for this year?
I may or may not have a cool outfit for this year.
Oh, fantastic.
Guess you'll have to watch and find out. WWE Network.
$9.99, guys. Where's Kathy?
Back here with Matthew from New Haven.
I have a question for both of you. What was your favorite match watching as a kid?
Oh. All right. You go first.
Huh. My favorite match as a kid.
What is a kid? Like, how old's a kid? How old are you, for example?
He's 11. He
All
said.
right, so 11 years old.
I mean, you like weird stuff. When I was 11, it was 1994, and I've got to tell you, like, in hindsight, I probably should have just stopped at the cage match at SummerSlam '94, but I was a big Undertaker versus Undertaker fan.
All right.
Like when I was 11, like it really worked for me.
Okay.
in hindsight, like when I look back on it now, I go, huh. I don't think this was intended for people in their 30s.
No, definitely not. I think maybe around 11, that would have been, 97 for me.
Mm-hmm.
So probably Shawn and Brett from WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
It was about that time. Or maybe Shawn and Razor, the ladder match, because as a kid, that was the first time I'd seen a ladder match, and I remember just being like, oh, what is happening?
Yeah.
I was sort of too it was a weird one I loved, and because I was such a Hogan mark, was the WrestleMania 9 finish that everybody hated.
Dude,
where Brett got screwed out of the title, and Hogan just came in and was like, bootleg drop, I'm the man.
And you're like, yeah, Hogan.
Yeah, I was so young and dumb. I was like, yes, Hulk Hogan is way better than Bret Hart. This is awesome.
Dude, I was 9 at WrestleMania 9, and like for years I was like, that's the best WrestleMania of all time.
Yes,
like,
yes, me too.
It was like, it was outside, it was togas. I was like, that's the best
Jim
one.
Ross was in a toga.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had Giant Gonzalez and Undertaker, and maybe one of the worst WrestleMania matches.
Wasn't that the one with chloroform in it?
I think
like
so,
the chloroform
yes.
rag over the
double
face?
doinks, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the two doinks thing was kind of even in hindsight, it's like, that's kind of still brilliant.
Yeah, and I remember like Hogan had the black eye from a jet ski accident or something like that, like filming Thunder in Paradise or something weird.
Yeah, but I think one of the matches that like as a kid that turned me into more of a fan of more of like a higher class fan was the Iron Man match between Shawn and Brett at WrestleMania 12.
Yep.
Like as a 12-year-old, in my head, Commissioner Roddy Piper announces this match, and I'm like, I'm not watching a wrestling match for an hour. That's way too long. It's gonna be so boring. And like, I couldn't believe as a 12-year-old that like I was locked in for the entire 60 minutes, and like that one changed.
60 plus.
Yeah, plus overtime.
Yeah.
That one changed a lot for me.
Yeah, same for me. Brett and Owen from WrestleMania 10
Yeah.
as well, a little bit too. But yeah, those were some of the times. That's where I started to kind of transition a little bit as well, to start to appreciate the artistic side and not just like, yes, training prayers, vitamins.
Yeah, and just inevitably you start realizing there's stuff outside of WWE, and it really expands everything. Yes, Kathy.
Over here with Selena from Brooklyn.
Hi.
Hey.
First, I just want to tell you you're awesome, and I swear I never booed you, even during your heel turn.
Oh, well, thank you. That's awesome.
That's the Brooklyn side. No, I want to know, how'd you feel when they told you couldn't do your curb stomp anymore?
I was very sad. I was
Yeah?
very sad. I still am very sad about it. But it'll never come back. So that's one of the other questions. I get a few questions. I get the Shield question. That's slightly being answered as we speak. I get the hair question. That's never coming back.
Not even at the little at the bottom?
No,
when it was
no,
just
no.
almost done growing out?
It was bad. Look, I'm trying to have a healthy head of hair while I still have hair left. So,
Smart.
Yeah, no more blonde. And the curb stomp will not. It's done, guys. I can't.
So-
it's not my fault. Trust me. It's not like I was like, oh yes, I want a new finisher. No.
Is it
they snatched it from me. They took it from me. So.
Is it because the move is inherently dangerous, or visually it just isn't what they want? things
No,
to
it
look
was.
like?
So this is what happened. Okay. After WrestleMania, I had won the title. I flew across the country to do the Today Show.
Right.
For the Today Show, they put together a package of all of Seth Rollins' most awesome maneuvers. At the time, my finish was the curb stomp. So Vince McMahon is sitting, wherever Vince McMahon sits on a Monday morning, and he's seeing me on the Today Show, and I look great in the suit, and I'm representing the company. I look great in the suit, and I'm wearing the title, and then he sees this package with me stomping another man's head into the ground and it being called a curb stomp on national television. And he thought to himself, well, that is not a good representation of what I want my top guy to do. So he just had a meeting with some of his people, and they decided, well, we don't need it. We can figure out another finish for you, and the rest is history. And I get it. I hate it. I think it's silly, but it is what it is, and it's not my company. So I'm doing the best I can with it.
And in all fairness, I mean, it really is not as friendly as the leg drop.
No, not even.
It's not a train say your prayers, eat your vitamins finisher.
No, not at
So,
all.
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it from a marketing standpoint. Totally understand it. I hate it because it was such a great finish and it was easy and could do it to everybody. But hey, so is my cool knee now. So let's start liking that.
The knee is cool.
V trigger. That's not what we're calling it, but that's what you can call it.
I see you, Kathy.
Yes, we are here with Eleni from Perth, Australia.
Wow.
Hell of a shirt you got there, kid.
Thank you. Do you prefer Roman or Dean as your tag team partner?
Well, but here's the thing. Here's the thing is that I haven't really teamed with Dean enough to know.
Huh.
We teamed a little bit at the end of, as just a singles tag team, like just two of us, at the end of the Shield run, but there wasn't much to that. Roman and I had a lengthy run as tag team champions. So I can't really answer that. Can I say both? Because I like the six-mans myself. If that counts.
That's all right. It's a little politically correct, but it makes you justified.
I can't. I mean, ask me in 3 or 4 months or something.
I wanted to ask you. I know that you're not. Your perspective is of a young guy, but one of the criticisms that you hear the older guys make is about how competitive the locker room was, and I think Vince McMahon even said it on the Stone Cold podcast a year or two ago, whatever it was, that like there was an inherent competition in the locker room during the Attitude Era, and it kind of sounds like what you were describing with the Shield, but some of the older guys say that they don't see that with the younger guys. Do you think that that's a fair, not necessarily you, but do you think that that's a fair general criticism of what the locker room is like?
Yeah, I think we are all a little more friendly. I think it's less cutthroat than it used to be, but I think that's just due to the fact that there's not a whole lot of other places to work nowadays. And when I say work, you can go out and you can make a couple of bucks here and there and do well. And you've got guys like the Young Bucks and Kenny and Cody who are doing all right. But those spots outside of WWE to make a real nice living are very few and far between. Whereas back in the day, you had WCW. You had a place you could go and make a lot of money if you ruffled some feathers in the locker room.
Right.
So guys weren't having long, like they just weren't, the tenure wasn't 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years in locker rooms. It was shorter. They would bounce back and forth. They would kind of, revitalize their career going to WCW or up their worth or whatever, and there just isn't that many options. So I think the fact that we see each other all the time, every single day, we're together for years and years and years and years, it's just a different dynamic. So you have to find ways to be competitive without being a jerk to the guys around you. So it's just a different animal.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That like you can't piss people off like you could before because you're gonna be stuck with them.
Yeah,
and if you're not stuck with them, you're gonna be struggling to find work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. If you wanna have a nice little nest egg and retire and have a good life, you have to kind of bite the bullet sometimes.
So that chip on your shoulder has to be measured.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to be calculated with
Right.
that chip on your shoulder,
Makes
which
sense.
is an art form unto itself.
Yeah, that's another pro wrestling art form that a lot of the fans don't get to see. Yeah. I see you over there, Kathy.
I'm going to let this man introduce
Look at-
himself.
Hi, I'm Baby Seth from Harlem.
Baby Seth.
Baby
Seth. I'm going to give you 10% of my earnings for all this. Don't worry.
Oh, all right.
I have two things. You sort of touched on this already.
By the way, this gentleman, for the radio listeners at home, is he's got the well, I believe that those are replica. I don't want to say toy.
This is a
championship
kid's
titles.
belt. This is a toy.
Okay.
All right.
And so
He
we've
said it
Fits me
for you.
like a charm.
We've got some kids' titles. We've got a Seth Rollins shirt, a Seth Rollins wristband, and you've styled your hair and facial hair.
We happen to have good genetics. That's all.
Yeah, all right.
Baby Seth.
Baby Seth.
Right. So we sort of touched on this. Is there anyone outside of WWE, not including NXT, that's on your radar that you really want to work with in WWE? You have like 3 or 4?
Oh, man. Shh. Somebody just say ICP?
Yeah, bring in ICP.
That is gonna.
Yeah, I'd say Shaggy Two Dope from the Insane Clown
Violent
Posse.
J, maybe. Man, I don't know. There's so many guys out there that I haven't worked with Kenny in a really long time.
Yeah.
Going back to when we were both in Ring of Honor at the same time. Same sort of thing with him as with AJ is where, I'd like to see where we're at now. Someone like Okada, Suzuki. If we're talking about New Japan guys, just to test myself, sort of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to know. I like to think I'm all right at what I do, and they're very good at what they do. And I'd like to see if what would happen if we put us together, kind of fantasy warfare style.
Do you have any thoughts about this new sort of Ring of Honor crop that seems to be popping up in NXT? So you've got Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly.
Yep.
There's rumors that about Adam Cole, whether he's coming or not, who knows?
Yeah.
But like, do you have any? Because at one point, that was your class.
That was me. Those are my guys. Well, I mean, we were the generation after, but
Right.
Dude, I've watched Kyle from his infancy. To train with Davey Richards out of the Midwest in St. Louis. So we were on all the same indie shows. He was just a few years behind me, and he was one of those guys who, at first, I was like, man, I see nothing in this kid. And I'm very happy to see that he's completely proven me wrong. So stoked to see Kyle in NXT. I think he's going to be awesome there. And Adam Cole as well, both kids with a ton of potential. And I'm looking forward to see if Adam is in fact signed. I don't know.
Yeah.
If he is, then I'm hoping the best for him because he's a guy who's been on the radar for a long time and has a lot of potential.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe Baby Seth had one more question.
Oh, okay.
Do you mind if I get a fist bump?
Oh, man, you're so far away. Yeah, come up here, Baby Seth.
Yeah. Baby Seth. What a moment.
Come up here, Baby Seth.
Only at SummerSam. All right, stop milking. Oh, he took his fist down.
No, Baby Seth. It's all about the games, man. It's all about the games.
Yeah. Baby Seth.
It's all
Big
about the
Seth.
milk.
What a moment, huh? What a moment. He slipped a little on the fist bump, right?
It's okay. It's all right. You got excited. You got excited.
It's all right. I get it. I understand it.
Emotions running high here.
Yeah, yeah.
Here,
Well,
Lines.
it's a fever pitch here at SummerSam.
I also have Jason over here.
Jason.
Are you excited for a future match with the Broken Hardys? And can you sign my Money in the Bank, please?
Yes.
By the way, it doesn't count. A Q&A question is not, can I have an autograph? I'm not saying he's going to say, but Yeah, would you want to do some stuff with the Hardys?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I guess would they be in that Sting category for you?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, legendary status. Obviously, future Hall of Famers, Jeff and Matt, and I just think that they had been gone for so long that you almost forgot about them as a possibility to like, come back and be in the fold. So now with the tag team championships sort of on the horizon, possibly, I definitely would welcome a chance. I think 2/3 of the Shield versus the Hardy Boys, broken or not broken, would be awesome. So yeah, that'd be sick, man. Jeff is actually a huge part of the when I was 14 or whatever, I had the tight little spandex shirts and big baggy pants that I would wear to school all the time. So
yeah,
they were majorly influential on me wanting to become a pro wrestler.
That's awesome. You were wearing like wetsuit shirts to school?
I looked ridiculous. I had giant parachute pants in orange, in silver, and in purple.
Were they UFOs?
I don't know what that means.
That's a brand. Those big parachute raver pants.
I maybe.
Yeah.
They might have been. I don't remember. That was a waste long ago.
By the way, that's the people that bleed wrestling instead of thinking it's stupid. Like,
no.
Our view of what's cool has been so skewed and like twisted that like we saw it on Raw and we're like, what?
Of course.
He's the coolest dude ever. If I look like that, then I'll also get all the chicks.
I never understand why I couldn't get a girlfriend until I was out of high school. Absolutely.
Who do we got over there, Kathy?
Lester from the Bronx.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Lester.
My question is, do you ever see the Seth Rollins character getting a manager?
A manager?
Yeah, manager.
Female or male? I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys out there who could use a manager. I've always done a fair job of spitting game on the microphone. So yeah, no, I don't think so. I think I'm set on that one, Lester. Thank you though, if that was an application.
Yeah, he's trying to. Do you take pride in that? In the idea that like that's something that you're good at, that I've a microphone skill set?
Yeah, because I sucked at it for a really long time. So it was cool when I was given the opportunity to go out in front of a crowd and actually cut longer promos. That was really scary for me but that was maybe one of the scariest things breaking out from the Shield, because I knew to be a top guy, for the most part, you have to be able to cut that 10-minute opening promo on Raw, and sometimes that's terrifying. So, and it was just something that I hadn't had practice on, not in NXT, not in Ring of Honor, not anywhere. So to be like just thrust into it, like, okay, here you go.
Right.
You don't have an identity yet. You don't know how to talk on a microphone. Go out there and do it. It was very nerve-wracking. And then you've got writers here, writers there, Vince McMahon here, Triple A. Everyone's got their input, so it's like, you got to just figure it out on the fly. But the fact that they were able to give me that confidence and I was able to learn, and I do all right at it now. So I was pretty excited that I was able to do that. And yes, I take a fair amount of pride in it.
Good. Do you think that managers should make some kind of a comeback, or do you think that era is kind of gone for a reason?
No, I don't. I think, dude, Titus Worldwide. No, I think it's cool, man. I think that there's a place for it. Why not?
Yeah.
I thought Lana was great for Rusev. I think obviously Heyman's great for Lesnar. You can't give him a microphone. He will cost you thousands of dollars in fines from the FCC. So yeah, I think that there's definitely a place for it, and there's tons of guys out there who, it's just not for them. It's not easy to do that. So
yeah.
I think that if there are people out there who have that skill, they should be utilized in that manner.
Yeah, I did interview Brock Lesnar without Paul Heyman once.
Yeah, it didn't go well for you.
Well, you remember the old catchphrase, "Get the F out."
Yeah.
I don't know if Brock really knew what the F stood for, because it wasn't as friendly as.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Who do we got, Kathy?
Got Erica.
Thanks for the email, Sam. Seth,
She was at the live show last night complaining that I hadn't
That's
emailed
right.
her a confirmation about today, and I was trying to explain to her I was putting together a live show last night. I was a little busy.
Nah, fair. Well, it sounds like you didn't get to her then.
Well, I got to her.
Okay, you did get to her.
He
Okay,
did.
cool. All right.
Seth, if you can pick a female tag partner to actually replace Roman in the Shields, and also win the tag titles, what woman superstar would you pick?
Why am I replacing Roman?
Because he's Roman Reigns.
Oh, all right. Well, she's in the back. Yeah. The boss back there would make a hell of a tag team partner. I think we'd be all right. So yeah, I'll go with her for now because she's here.
You don't want her to beat you up?
Yeah. Who do we got over there?
Alex from Brooklyn.
Okay. First, I gotta say I'm a huge freaking fan of yours.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Freaking awesome.
Which one of us?
Your matches.
Who are you?
Yeah, which SR are you referring
Both of y'all,
to?
matter of fact.
Oh.
Both of y'all.
I just stole that one. It
I like
was
Seth
definitely
Rollins
for you.
more better.
Ah. Thank you, sir.
My question is, which opponent from the Attitude Era will you face if you had a chance to do it?
Okay.
I mean, does Shawn count from the Attitude Era?
Sure,
Shawn?
DX, yeah.
Yeah, Shawn counts. So
Yeah.
Shawn. Sean's been my dream opponent forever and ever and ever, and he's in like the best shape of his life right now. So if I can drag him out of retirement, I'd love to have one match with Shawn Michaels.
Shawn kind of like I think his philosophy or what he's said about why he hasn't returned is similar to what you were saying about it. That like, you know, you have these goals and you were talking about, you know, long form story arcs and everything. And I think that's why Shawn hasn't come back because he said, number one, he has this beautiful story arc that went from the Rockers until he was retired.
Yep.
And also, like we were saying, that the last thing that you would want to do is have that be that guy who has the best matches ever.
Yep.
Which is Shawn Michaels.
That's
Like,
Shawn
there's
Michaels,
no
yeah.
higher pinnacle to get.
Yeah, I mean, I don't foresee him ever coming out of retirement. I don't think, like you said, he's got any reason to. His career has a fantastic story arc from start to finish. He's got nothing to prove ever on any level. But I think that's probably the reason that I want to have the match.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right.
yeah, he'd be the guy for sure.
Who do we
have Kevin over here?
Hi, I'm Kevin. When you're on the road, on the hotel rooms, airplanes, whatever, what kind of stuff do you like to watch on TV to
Well, there's
wind
really
down?
not that much time, to be honest with you, for TV. But obviously, Game of Thrones is a favorite right now, with a couple episodes left in this season. Looking forward to seeing how this one rounds out. Other than that, man, I'm a Netflix. Like, I get in bed and I just put the laptop on my chest and I put something on Netflix and I go to sleep. Like, I watched Glow recently, which
Did you like Glow?
Oh, I thought it was great.
It was, right?
I thought it was really well done. Loved it. Watched Glow. Otherwise, I'll watch like Bob Ross and go to bed.
Well, that's incredible. And, you know, speaking of Bob Ross, I think that Seth Rollins, along with Dean Ambrose, are going to paint us an amazing picture in the ring at SummerSlam. That's why I'm the last professional broadcaster. Nobody can beat me in the
A little
segue.
happy match.
Yeah, it's a little happy match.
Happy match.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you guys for coming out here this afternoon and being a part of this. No, thank you guys. I love putting this on for you, and I couldn't do it without you guys and your continued support. Thanks to Seth Rollins and Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Everybody at WWE and Mean Joe Villa over there, all of my guys from SiriusXM. Thank you all so much.
you
Don
guys.
Wicklund and everybody. Thank you all for coming out to the 3rd annual SummerSlam. And tune into SummerSlam.
Yes,
We'll
please.
see you next year. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.